It's me, Ginger, and I am back with another book review. This is a very special one. So this book I'm reviewing today is called The Devolution of Us by an author called Morwenna Blackwood. And I chose this, I guess nepotism at its best, because I know Morwenna. In fact, I know Morwenna perhaps longer than I know almost anybody. I've known her since she was 13 when we were at school together back in England. And it's funny because I remember she probably didn't even notice at the time, but she had a big impact on me during those years. And it's really cool that the power of Facebook has allowed us to reconnect because, well, now she's an author, but we've reconnected, and it's interesting because I don't know what it was that resonated with me about her then, but it's now as an author, she's one person who I've made a connection with because she's a writer, she sees the world the same way I do. And being a writer is a very lonely thing, and you kind of see the world in a weird way, and things that are important to some people are hugely important to you, and some things that are hugely important to other people you just don't even notice. It's like a kind of, I wouldn't say madness, but maybe it's kind of like a bit of madness. I say it's like writers hear the sound of trumpets. And so it's really been very, very cool to like make that reconnection with Morwenna. So I wanted to read her book, and I wanted to give it a lot of due care and attention because she's important to me, and the book is important to her, and the book is important to me, and blah, 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 blah. So, The Devolution of Us is a traditionally published book, or indie published, I think, by Darkstroke Books, which is a small press. And when I was on Morwenna's book launch, we got to chat to the publisher, and they seemed like a really good bunch of guys. And it's a story that defies easy explanation, which is one of the things that's remarkable about it. I write genre fiction, and so the whole point of me is I can do an elevator pitch for any of my books. Like the one I'm going to write next is Die Hard on Yoga Retreat. Boom, done. So Morwenna's book definitely is not as simple and neat as that because there are a lot of things going on. I would say this book is about Kaylee, who is a young woman growing up in Devon, and it's interesting, that's where Morwenna and I grew up, and so it's kind of a trip to hear about all these familiar places and things, and that familiar kind of that culture. And Kaylee is best friends with a girl called Catherine, and they're kind of odd ones out. They're into witchcraft and Wicca and stuff like that, but also they are both challenged by mental health issues. And the way Morwenna writes about that is breathtaking because, just as I said earlier, it's like being a writer is like a kind of madness. It's like mental health issues. A lot of people define as madness, but the thing is, other people, unless you have those mental issues, don't understand what it's like. It's, you know, if you have a friend who's OCD and has to slam the door 16 times, then you can't just say like, well, stop doing that, that's stupid, because they know it's stupid, but they just have to do it. It's like a tick, it's like that. And the way Morwenna writes about that and explains it and makes you able to put yourself into that headspace is just remarkable. It really, really is remarkable. And you can see that, you know, those are challenges that Kaylee and Catherine have and experience. And the book pretty much kicks off when Catherine dies. And the rest of the book is done through different viewpoints. There's Catherine's boyfriend, Rich, and there's Kaylee, of course. And then there are excerpts from Catherine's diary, novel, or book. And you piece these together. And this is the thing that's really remarkable about this book, because I started off and I thought it was sort of I would say women's literature about the struggles that Kaylee and Catherine have, and that was beautifully written and perfect in that regard. Except then, as the book progresses, and you know, you see the start of it, like from the opening pages, but as the book progresses, things turn darker and more sinister, and the book goes in a direction you might not have thought it would. And it becomes really, really compelling writing from a sort of a mystery angle as well. And what I love about it is, especially because I read a lot of American books are very much, the heroines tend to be sort of ostensibly strong in a way that isn't always authentic. Whereas the amazing thing about Morwenna's book is that Kaylee, she is a frightened, troubled, challenged young woman, and she's thrust into this situation and trying to make sense of it all. And just the level of vulnerability that Morwenna brings to the writing is really different from anything I read before. And it makes the whole thing very, very compelling, and very, very different, and very, very real. There is an awful lot of real, dark stuff in this book. And I think the thing that makes it so disquieting is because it's so real. And I imagine there's a lot of authenticity that goes into writing it, but it really, really comes across. So it was the reason it took me so long to read, because I sort of whizzed through it the first time, and then I went back and read it, and I used to have to actually stop and take breaks, because I'd be like introspective and quiet and upset, and I couldn't read anymore until I'd like process the stuff that I had read. So it's quite an intense book. It's beautifully written. The way Morwenna uses the language is just stunning, and I've really been paying a lot of attention to the way writers do that. But there's just, I don't want to spoil any of the things that happen in it, but obviously I think it even says in the blurb at the back that Catherine dies, and she's found in the bathtub full of blood, and it's just tiny little turns of phrase, like the way Morwenna describes it as vermilion. Says, completely forgetting the word she was using, but I'm just trying to think of the exact. I honestly want to stop this video at this point and go back. I will remember that, but just the little turns of phrase were just really beautiful and really visceral. It's almost like Hemingway had that whole thing of like the iceberg technique, where you only want to show a little peek and you say as much as you can with as few words as you can. And like Morwenna nails that in a really, really good way. She can write a single sentence and use maybe like one adjective, but it's a perfect adjective that just makes everything pop straight into your brain. So yeah, beautifully written as well. And just the way she ramps up the tension and the compelling aspect of it, and the disquieting and upsetting aspect of it, and the way you really feel that Kaylee's in jeopardy, just that's terrific writing as well. And I mean, I've been trying to convince Morwenna to start writing genre mysteries, which she would be phenomenal at, but also I feel bad trying to convince her to do that, because if you're a writer, you should just write whatever the hell you want. And I know she's working on a sequel to this, but it is really a remarkable, remarkable book. It defies easy categorization, and that's a good thing. Even the cover, it's like you're not quite sure what you're getting, but it's a book, I think, that is going to be very special and very defining to Morwenna's writing career, and I think she's going to have a very, very, very successful writing career. And I think this book is almost like a microcosm. It's just exactly perfect as it is. And I find it very interesting, because reading my kids my first book, Adventure Eddie, and I remember trying to rewrite it a few years later, and now I'm reading the original. I'm like, you know what, I can understand everything. There's an authenticity to this book that I don't want to change it, and when I tried to update it to make it more palatable, I ruined everything that was good about the book. And I think that's the thing with this book. It's like it's so easy to be cynical about writing and produce product, and especially in genre fiction, and it's like this book is the perfect example of why it's important not to sometimes do that. So, wax lyrical for a very long time, but it's a terrific book. Definitely recommend reading it. It's available on Amazon in paperback or ebook, and I can't wait to see what Morwenna comes up with next. That's it. Stay tuned for another book review very shortly in the future. Cheers.